Hey guys, thank you once again for being here. It is week 17. I'm Al, known by Al Smizzle if you play daily fantasy on any site. I play the majority of my action on DraftKings, so if you go over there, you've probably seen me sometime over the last 6 years doing something or another, whether it's head-to-heads, whether it's 50-50s, GPPs, wherever. That's where you're going to find me most often, and we're going to go over Week 17. I'm going to take some questions. I'm going to answer them as best I can from my chat to help you guys build a lineup for DraftKings Week 17. Some have referred to it as preseason Week 5, which is not wholly untrue considering that a lot of these players are going to be playing because teams are locked in. Teams that are in the playoffs are locked into their playoff position. They have nothing to really play for, so why risk injury? Many of those teams are going to be playing next weekend, so you're not going to give your guys, if you're locked into a spot or the team that you're chasing at halftime looks like they've establish like a 20 or 28 point lead, you're probably going to pull your guys in the second half of those games to keep them from getting injured and maybe keep them a little bit fresher so you give yourself the best chance to win in the playoffs. Teams that are eliminated from the playoffs even a couple weeks ago have already started getting first looks at their players for, younger players, giving them extra playing time, cutting the snaps of some of their starting players so that those backups that they want to get a good look at film, a good look on the field for a look into their future for themselves so they can see what these guys can do to get a better grasp on what they have. That's who's playing these last few weeks and most especially this week 17. So there will be value up and down the slate at quarterback, not as much at quarterback. At running back, wide receiver, and tight end, there will be plenty of value to be found. We have to really do our best to pay attention to it. There's a lot of narratives that you can get into. There's records that could be broken. There's contract incentives that teams either want their players to get or don't want their players to get. It works both ways. Everybody says, well, this guy only needs to play this many snaps or get this many carries to get this certain incentive. Well, it's happened in the past that certain teams don't play them. Remember Mark Ingram on the sideline a couple of seasons ago when he didn't get the carries that he needed or the snaps that he needed to trigger like a $500,000 payoff for him, and the Saints just kind of sent down a call to the sideline and said, pull him. We don't want to pay him. We don't need him to play. Tell him he's going to rest. So some of that stuff happens. You have the other side of the coin with guys like Devontae Adams, who need 134 yards to set the single-season receiving record for the Green Bay Packers, to hold it on his own. Very much in the realm of possibility that he actually achieves that goal, and if his quarterback wants to feed it to him, he should probably get a ton of targets. There's a lot of things that we have to dig into. Let's bring in the chat, and let's get right to it. How's it going, T. Coon? DeLupo Hay? Play McGuire instead? I mean, there's a lot of guys to play. Jay Cutterlife, thank you for the 17 months in a row. We're coming up on guys that are getting close to getting 24 months subscribed to this Twitch channel. I think I'm going to have to do something for all the 24-month subs when they hit their 24 month. Maybe send them a t-shirt or something like that. Exclamation point shirt in the chat. I'll probably send them that shirt if they want it. So I'm trying to think of something nice to do to give back to the people that have supported this channel for so long. Zandamir, I suck and let my sub expire over the offseason. You got to not do that. You got to stay here. That Twitch Prime sub is kind of tough to keep sub, though. So I think 2 tight end Kittle Kelsey, not Kettle Kelsey, will be chalky this week. I think it will be more in play, but not chalky, if that makes sense. Jared Goff, if you need to play down or to pay down at quarterback, yeah, I don't mind that at all, considering how much Jared Goff is. Only 6,200 versus Mahomes, who I think is going to get a high percentage, but at quarterback, 20% is a high percentage owned for a quarterback. And it may be a little more condensed with backups playing and not a lot of people wanting to play Teddy Bridgewater, even though I think he does well. He's not exactly the same sort of thing. A little bit more condensed ownership on quarterbacks this week than normal. And you look at Jared Goff's home road splits, which have certainly been a thing this year. 28.6 DraftKings points at home versus 15.9 on the road. Yes, it's small sample size theater, but everything in the NFL is small sample size theater. It's something to monitor. We've always had that thing with Ben, right? So let's bring in Jared Goff. Here's Jared Goff's home games right here. Boom. 28.6 DraftKings points averages 362 yards per game at home, 243 on the road, thrown more interceptions on the road. That's to be expected from most quarterbacks. Half as many touchdowns on the road as at home, and he's got one less game, 18-10, and he's got one less home game. If he throws 2, it will exactly double it. Now you look at the other side of the coin, Ben Roethlisberger, who has been somebody who has always had big home road splits. Drew Brees, somebody else who has always had big home road splits, carried them over to this season. 27.5 at home, 17.1 on the road. They just have a different philosophy as well on the road. They run the ball whole lot more. Ben Roethlisberger, historically a big home road splits guy, but this year kind of went away. This is where that small sample size thing comes into play, where people say, well, you need like 8, 10 years, 15 years to really get to the sample size you need. We can go on it in the short term. Just realize that it is going to be a little bit noisy. So Ben Roethlisberger obviously averaging basically the same amount of points at home as on the road. In fact, 0.4 more points on the road than he has at home. But yes, to answer that question, I'm fine with Goff. Is Anderson chalk again? Robbie Anderson chalk again? No, I don't think Robbie Anderson is going to be chalk again this week. That price has come up a little bit too much for me. Another 1,000 added to it, and now he's drawing a much tougher matchup. Overall, Green Bay a much softer matchup than the Patriots, and in a cornerback wide receiver matchup, he's drawing Gilmore from the Patriots. Most likely should see him for the majority of his snaps, and Gilmore is no joke. Njoku, the tight end of the week? I don't know. I mean, you guys know how much I love David Njoku and his entire game, his athleticism. I think that he's a touchdown waiting to happen in the NFL, but he's got a quarterback that kind of spreads the ball around, an offense that wants to run it 30 times a game. How about CJ Anderson again? He's going to greatly depend on the availability of Todd Gurley. If Todd Gurley plays, then CJ Anderson's not somebody I want. If Todd Gurley does play and only plays half a game, I still really don't want CJ Anderson. If Gurley's out, then yeah, CJ Anderson is most definitely in play. Is Saquon the best option at running back? Let's take a look. McCaffrey probably not going to play, although he does have a good narrative. He's 155 yards away from having a CMC 2K season, 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing. The Roger Craig, if you will. Doesn't look like he's going to get there because it looks like they're going to rest him. Cowboys say that they're going to play Ezekiel Elliott a full amount. We don't know that they're going to. They have absolutely nothing to play for. Todd Gurley, don't know how much he's going to play, especially if they get out to a lead. They could certainly rest him in the second half. Melvin Gordon, they should theoretically play him. Denver looks like they're a team that's got a tough DVOA against the run. They've been tougher recently against the run. Saquon Barkley, if you're paying up, yes, is probably the best running back to pay up for, especially with all this Rookie of the Year talk. If they want to funnel it his way to make sure he gets that so that they look better as a front office, those narratives, if you buy into them, I think is definitely something that we can... If you want to buy into that narrative, I'm not fighting you, is kind of what I'm saying. Can I please rank Adams, AB/Juju, and Mike Evans? Well, AB today came out in the news with more of an injury issue. I'll try and find it for you, if I can take a second. If you give me just a second here. I can't find it. I saw it earlier, now I can't find it. Basically, he's down with an injury. Whether he plays or not is kind of up in the air right now. And if Juju's the only wide receiver there, then I love Juju. Mike Evans, I think that's the right order, though. I want Devontae Adams. Then, if AB is out, I like Juju. If AB is playing and Juju is playing, then I think paying up for either is great to be contrarian, especially paying all the way up for AB. Mike Evans would be last out of that grouping for me. Denver gave up. They will run up and down him. Okay. Should we treat eliminated teams? I mean, if they sit all their cornerbacks and it's everything's a mess, right? Do I like Julio? I always like Julio, but I don't think he's going to play all that much. Theoretically speaking, they could rest Julio Jones because they have nothing to do. Doesn't have an injury report for Sunday's game. He might be active, but just be active. We don't know how much he's going to go. Do I think Saquon and Jay Williams goes under-owned in GP? I don't think Saquon goes under-owned. Paying too much with all the running back value and great wide receivers up top. I think that a lot of people are going to look for running back value this week. Any love for Tyreek in a GPP? Yes, every week. Ridley if Julio's out? Yeah, I don't hate that. Can you fit Mahomes, Kelsey, Barkley, Adams, and Cash this week? Yes, you can. It's definitely possible to fit those guys. You're going to play two. If you're going with that sort of lineup, you're going with two value running backs, which there are two other value running backs out there, and you're looking for value at wide receiver. That's not tough to find any week. So I definitely think that you can just kind of jam in those four guys if you want that, Mahomes 20-point floor, Barkley's 15, 16-point floor, Kelsey's 10-point floor, and Adams 13 targets. He's basically a 16 to 30-point game every week from him. Out of all the weeks, can we get Levitan's lineup this week? Preseason week 5. That's what you're looking for, right? Where's the 3 tight end button on DraftKings? I can't tell you that. Then I'd have to kill you. So I kind of have to keep that to myself. McGuire the chalk, pivot from him to DFJ. I think McGuire is solid. I don't know that he's chalk. I think that the 3K running backs are going to be a little bit more chalky, but I could be wrong. I think Barkley and Williams are going to be very heavily owned. And by Williams, I know there's a bunch of Williams. I mean Jamal Williams on Green Bay. There's just nobody else to hand the ball to. You loved me going full Jim Ross on Levitan this week. I went Jim Ross on Pete, though. You got to watch the video. The DraftKings posted the video of the podcast on, just for that segment. They posted the video of the podcast on their YouTube channel, so go check that out. Who's my favorite 3K running back? I don't know. I like Barber. I like Freeman. I think I like Barber a little bit more than I like Freeman, just based on the fact that he should catch passes against a defense that's going to let him catch passes. And the last time that he faced Atlanta, he had 20 fantasy points. I think he's a little bit safer than Royce Freeman. Freeman has higher touchdown upside than Barber does, but Barber has a much higher floor with a similar ceiling considering the matchup and how much he plays. He gets his 15 to 22 touches pretty much every week. Am I scared of Damian Williams now that Ware is going to play? I am less a fan of, I wouldn't say scared, but I don't think he's going to see the volume that he saw the last 2 weeks, or at least it's very much more in question, where Jamal Williams' volume is less in question. So I would prefer Jamal Williams to Damian Williams now, which I was kind of 50-50 on both of them before. Peyton the Barber Beefcake. That's not a bad nickname. Watch them videos every week. Love you guys taking time in your life to do what you do. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys tuning in on podcast, on video, here on Twitch, on YouTube, and reading my article on ESPN. I really appreciate all the support throughout the years. It's great that you guys have, found something that you like to read and listen to, and been here for as long as we've been doing it. This is our 5th year doing that podcast in one form or another. Fan of the Booker pivot in GPP. Enough upside. You mean Broncos Booker? No. I'm not a big fan. I think he's very limited. Can I see Rojo getting a lot of work to see what they have in him? It would make sense, but they haven't shown any... they haven't been smart, the Buccaneers, this year. I wouldn't call their coaching staff very sharp in the way that they've been making decisions this season. So I'm not really going to say that I expect him to do anything there in that aspect and say, oh, well, we know what we have with Barber, so let's see what we have in this guy that we invested a high draft pick in. Let's play him and at least see what we have. This is a team that at least fits his skill set. I just don't know that they're that sharp to do things like that. Washington running in New Orleans. What? I'm confused by that. Xanamir, thank you for the 500 bits.
Just tossing the last of my bits that I have on hand as a thank you for all of the content.
No worries.
This year, the chat has been a blast, as always. Seriously. If you aren't in the Discord, you need to be in there. It'll help you win more money.
It's true. Anytime that you immerse yourself in anything, if you want to get better at something, whether it's daily fantasy sports, whether it's season-long fantasy, whether it's poker, whether it's any game that's beatable. If you want to get better at it, you need to find a way to surround yourself with people who are also committed to getting better at the game and doing it the right way, right? Looking for the right process instead of, well, this one, so let's do that. Kind of like what we were talking about on the Edge Pod with the Cowboys saying, well, last time we went to the playoffs, we rested players and we lost in the first round, so we're not going to do that again. We're playing everybody in week 17. Well, what if you had won that game? Would you say, well, we rested people last time and we won, so we're doing that again? That's a dumb way to approach anything in life because one doesn't really have anything to do with the other. I don't even look at who they lost to in that game a couple of seasons ago in the playoffs. The point is more that if you're going into something with the right process, it will produce results. If you plant the tree and you water it and you get it sunlight and you have it at the right place and you're getting it enough food and enough nutrients, it will bear fruit eventually and hopefully repeatedly. So if you're doing that, then you're going to win. So if you're paying attention to these streams, you're already better. if you're paying attention to the podcasts, if you're reading and doing research every week, you're already better than about 90% of the people that play daily fantasy sports. Because some people just, I'm just going to play. I'll put these lineups in. I have these guys on my season-long team. You don't realize how many people actually just play daily fantasy that way. And they do it in every sport: baseball, basketball, football. More so in football. Now, if you're taking the next step and you're getting into a focused chat room throughout the week where you're bouncing ideas off of people constantly and going over process. Is this the right process? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing here? What do you think of this versus this? And really dissecting your own play, and not just looking at it in terms of moving forward, in terms of looking backward. Here's what I did at this point, at that decision point. Was this a correct decision? Should I not make that decision moving forward? Should I not make decisions like that? Should I go with this? You will be a better player, and our Discord is a great place for that. Even Mubot had to take a couple breaths on that one. It did. Your grandparents stopped by. Did I talk about Teddy B? I have not. I mean, a lot of people are really psyched to play Teddy Bridgewater this week, huh? Why? I don't hate it. Like, I want to know your reason. So if you are somebody who's considering playing Teddy Bridgewater, chat, can you please talk me through your rationale? What's his price? He's 5,300, so he's not like he's 4K. Right? I want to know the thinking. Because, like, he's fine. And again, it's week 17. Week 17, if you had asked me, what was it, like 6-7 years ago? If you said to me, hey, should I play Matt Flynn in week 17? I'd have been like, well, I'd have said the same thing. Sell me. Tell me why. And then he goes off and has like 6 touchdowns. And I remember in DFS, I did not have him that Sunday. And if you played Flynn, you won all the money. Like, I'm not looking at his stats. The stats don't matter. I've just got him up because he's the conversation piece right now. It's because we miss Teddy. I miss Teddy too. He's a good quarterback. I'm glad that he's back from injury. Teammates love him. I mean, the question is, do you think that he's going to throw for 4 touchdowns? You know, that's essentially what percent chance do you give that of happening? Because whatever percent chance you, unless he's opening up a whole lot of other things for you, unless Bridgewater is opening up things for you that Foles isn't, that Trubisky isn't, that Lamar Jackson isn't, that Jameis Winston isn't, that Jared Goff isn't, if that extra 900 or so in that range is opening up a ton more things for you, which I don't see how it is because there's enough value to open up everything there that's there already. So that's what I'm saying. What is the rationale there? Like, I think there's a distinct chance he throws 3 or 4 touchdowns this week, Patrick Mahomes. I think there's a distinct chance that Aaron Rodgers throws multiple touchdowns again this week. He's 6,300. I think Jared Goff at home is a 2 to 3 touchdown a game quarterback, especially if Gurley is not 100%. And they have to get out to a lead. And the San Francisco defense is not that great. Distinct possibility that he throws 2-3 touchdowns in this game in a must-win situation so that they get a bye week. And very necessary for them to get Gurley back healthy if they want to make a Super Bowl run. Just my thoughts. Teddy rushes for 3 scores. If that happens, you're going to win all the money. You think they let him throw because it's the end of his contract year? I mean, I don't think they're going to like become Baltimore and just run it 70% of the time. I think they're going to run their normal game plan just with him instead of Drew Brees, which means he should get about 30 to 33 throws, 25 to 35 throws, right? Is he going to be as efficient as Drew Brees is on those throws? Unlikely. Drew Brees, one of the most efficient quarterbacks of all time. SF plays hard too, might keep it close enough. I think San Francisco is going to be funneling targets towards Kittle, to be honest with you, because Kittle and Kelsey are trying to break the single-season tight end receiving yards record held by Gronkowski. The difference is the Chiefs have to win. They have to win this game, or they could be playing on Wild Card Weekend. They don't want to do that, or they can get home field. So if they win. So they're going for the game. which means that if Kelsey is the right guy to target to win the game, they're going to be targeting Kelsey, which he is the right guy to target for them, and against the defense can't stop it, but they're going to do whatever they have to do. Whereas San Francisco could theoretically throw 13 or 15 targets toward Kittle because they don't have to win. They're just trying as a team to get this guy the record. It's like we did something. Born with Pettis out, I think he's in play. Thoughts on Jeff Wilson Jr.? I think he's in play. Tevin Coleman cleared to play. That sucks. If they get up against a terrible Raiders team, won't he get pulled? I mean, they have to win. For him to get pulled, they're going to be up 30. If they're up 30, he's done damage. They're not going to pull him if they're up 10. That's just not going to happen. They're not pulling their starting quarterback if they're winning by 10 or 12 or 14. They could pull him at the end of the third quarter if the score is 40-10. And if the score is 40-10, how many touchdowns does he have already if the team has 5 or 6? You know, if the team has 4, 5, 6 touchdowns, the Chiefs, how many of those has Mahomes accounted for? You think they're all on the ground? I don't. Why is Mullins getting no love? Is Mullins 49ers stat getting too cute for single entry GPPs? I don't hate Mullins Kittle. But Kittle can go off without Mullins going off. Much along the same lines, and we spoke about this earlier in the week, whether it was the recap stream or the first look stream, I don't remember. Look at that. 12 catches, 13 targets, 32.8 DraftKings points. His quarterback had 11. Wide receivers, running backs who catch passes, and tight ends can have monster games without their quarterback really busting a grape. So you have to remember that. Now, if Kittle scores 2 touchdowns and has 170 yards receiving, and Mullins has 275 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns, yes, it's a very good play. But Kittle could theoretically have 12 catches for 150 yards and no touchdowns. And Mullins could end the day with 225 and no touchdowns. That's not a good day. So I would rather play the position player. I don't spend as much time worrying about the quarterback as other people spend worrying about the quarterback position. Not to say quarterbacks don't matter, but the point difference between the top quarterback and the 12th quarterback is not as great as the point difference between the top tight end and the 12th tight end, the top wide receiver and the 12th wide receiver, the top running back and the 12th running back. Just get a quarterback that can do it for you. Gazelle and Diggs GPP. I have not thought about the Gazelle this week, so I'm going to have to look into that one, to be honest with you. Diggs GPP, fine, but I think it's a very tough matchup, and I think that's going to be kind of an old-school sluggo game. Mahomes goes off if Kelsey does. Mahomes always goes off. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. He has like one game under 20 fantasy points all year. 28, 18, 24, 33, 43, 20 against the Cardinals because they ran the ball a ton. 30.8, 30, 36, 31, 20 against Jacksonville. 25, 28. I'll take the 20 to 30 points. I'll be fine with the 40-point upside. I'll just take that. I'll let other people figure it out. Play the position player. Exactly. You should. Just find a quarterback who can do it for you. Patrick Mahomes, paying up for Patrick Mahomes, usually something that I don't do. You guys know I like playing quarterbacks in the 5,300 to 6,300 range. That's kind of where the sweet spot has been this year. It allows you to afford everything else that you need, and you get a quarterback that's got a 20-point expectation that has a ceiling of possibly getting you 28 to 35 fantasy points. But on weeks like this where you can actually get a guy like Mahomes and have that 20-point floor with the 40-point upside, fine. Need my take on Keith Butler-Eifert thing? I have no idea what that is. You're on the fence about Chubb. Why? What's wrong with Chubb? I mean, I personally don't like playing road running backs. I also don't like playing running backs against Baltimore. So what's going on with Chubb that I mean, he's not going to get more than 2-3 catches. His efficiency on the ground could be terrible. Thoughts on Barkley usage this week? I think it's going to be normal. maybe slightly heavier. The question is how much heavier. He's a 20 to 25 touch a game running back. Do you think he's going to get 35 or 40 this week? I kind of don't. I think he might get 25 to 30 if they try and really pump things his way. Gurley just got announced out Sunday. Word? All right, that changes things. That just came out. For those of you watching this on YouTube, that just broke right now. So Gurley out Sunday. Rams, running backs, not named Chubb. 5,400 for CJA. Definitely think he's in play. I think that the most likely and most highly owned running backs, and pardon me for not putting the latest one in the flex, is going to be this, and more than probably, where'd he go? This. Those will be your 3 highest owned running backs. Okay, and obviously you put Anderson down here in the flex and Williams up here because they play earlier. Those are going to be your 3 highest owned running backs, in my opinion. And that leaves you with 55,000. And then if you plug in just a 3K defense, random, boom, don't even care who it is. Plug in a random, I know it's again, so it's not the point. The point is just figure out an average remaining salary. You know, you can just do whatever you want. Again, you can still fit the guys. You're just going to have to, you can still fit the same dudes there to there, and you got 4,300 for a wide receiver. If you don't want to play Mahomes, you come down somewhere else. If you want to play Kittle at here, I think a lot of people are also going to come down to Freeman on Denver at 3,600, I think he is this week, 36 or 37. Lineups are fun to make in week 17, guys. A lot of different ways that you can go. Attack the volume is the best advice that I can give you, right? Find the guys that are going to get volume. Secondly, find the guys that are theoretically in good matchups, because some teams are going to rest their defensive starters. So the DVOA stuff and the points, defense versus position, and things that don't look great, or look awesome in terms of matchup, maybe even more awesome. Things that don't look great based on matchup, if a team is going to rest some of their defensive players, might be better. Some defenses are really good because of their scheme. Some are really good because of their players. Some it's a combination of both. Most it's a combination of both. So realistically speaking, find the volume, and then secondly, find the best matchups you can find, and then build your lineups that you can. Does playing 2 Packers in one lineup worry you, considering the Lions' snail pace and lack of motivation? Well, I mean, I think that the Packers are going to throw the ball a ton. Because if you look at Adams' recent usage, right? If we look at his recent usage, 18, 13, 11, 13, 8, 12, he's getting peppered with targets. They're throwing the ball a ton with Rodgers, and even more so since McCarthy left. Now, at running back, they just don't have anything. That's really what you're going with here. You're going with the fact that, obviously, since Snacks Harrison's been there, they've been a different team. Aaron Jones on IR. What? Who? Where? Like, these guys aren't getting any run. Jamal Williams last week touched the ball a ton. 21 touches with 9 targets. He should theoretically get 17 to 25 touches this week for 6K. Yes, the defense is good enough against the run to kind of make him somewhat more inefficient than he was last game, but that inclusion in the pass game is tremendous, especially with full PPR on DraftKings for 6K. And there's a lot of other spots where running backs are going to be splitting time. I think you're going to see a ton of Jamal Williams and CJA. And then the third running back in 3 running back lineups is either going to be Peyton Barber, Freeman, or Barkley. I think those are the 5 running backs that are theoretically going to be the highest owned on the slate from a quick glance now that we just found out, literally just found out, that Gurley has been ruled out. And 1 failed goal line attempt to end the game for Jamal's sad face. How contrarian to double hot? No, I don't think it's going to be all that. It's going to be less contrarian this week than others. because of all the value that's been generated at other positions and the tight ends being two high volume guys, one of them in a fantastic matchup and one of them in a narrative spot. I think that both Kittle and Kelsey are going to be higher owned than normal, with a higher percentage of people being on both, but that percentage might be like 5% max of in a tournament. Like maybe 5% of lineups will have that combination of those two players. Bills wide receiver ranking. Really? You're going to make me do that? I mean, I'll do it. Mr. Butterface, thank you for the 3 months in a row getting that silver VIP badge in the chat. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, click on the description down below. Click show more. Come on over to Twitch and drop me a follow over there because I'd love to meet you guys and talk to you live. I don't always follow the YouTube comments as much as possible because they happen 24 hours a day and I don't sit by my computer and answer comments all the time. But if you get to this stream, I can talk to you and I'd love to meet you guys. Buffalo, wide receivers. You're really making me do this, huh? I mean, it's these three. McKenzie has the highest floor. I think he's going for an NFL record. I think he's trying to be the first guy to get carted off a field in 3 straight games and return to the game. If he does it again this week, it'll probably be the first time that that's happened in 3 consecutive weeks in the history of the NFL. I kid. Foster getting a lot of deep opportunity. To me, makes him kind of a more boom or bust play than somebody like McKenzie. McKenzie, low ADOT, high floor. He's going to have to make something happen to get you those 20 fantasy points. Foster can get it done on one play, but the difference in price is alarming to me. If Foster was priced more like Zay Jones, I'd be more interested. The fact that he's $1,100 more than Jones and $1,400 more than McKenzie makes him GPP only for me. Connor thoughts? That's the one I can't figure out. That is honestly the one that I can't figure out right now because I don't know. I keep saying theoretically. Historically, they've basically rested on one running back, right? In the games that Le'Veon Bell was out, they played Williams a ton. And then when he came back, people said, well, are they going to play both of them? And they didn't. They just played Le'Veon Bell. And now Le'Veon Bell out, Connor has been the guy, and then Connor out, and Samuels has been the guy. They do not go with committee. But I'm afraid. Because with Connor coming off injury, if they get a big lead and in the second half, they should, based on the fact that they are 15-point favorites in this game, the Steelers could play Connor to get the lead and then run Samuels in the second half to just kind of ease Connor back in. And it could be a one-week thing. Start C.J. Anderson now because Gurley is out. I think he will be one of the highest-owned running backs on the slate. Would I dare play 3 Packers, Adams, Jamal, and Kumaro if Cobb and MVS are ruled out? I think Kumaro is definitely in play. He's min salary, right? He's stone minimum. He's $3K. I don't hate it, but I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. We talked about this last week with the Jets. I'm more likely to do that in tournaments than I am in cash. Connor's ankle sprain will flare up and Samuels will leave. Well, I can't predict future injury. I try to think about what teams would do when faced with certain situations. The Steelers don't split carries usually. Who knows, though? That's exactly what I'm saying, Big Country. Is like with him coming off injury and the playoffs coming up, and they should win this game by a lot. The game flow could go in that favor, where if they get up 20 points at halftime, you could see them slow the ball down a ton, maybe alternate series with the 2 backs, maybe in the fourth quarter run way less Connor and way more Samuels. A lot of things that could be in play that game. The fact that it becomes a question mark moves that more to a GPP play for me than a cash game play. Cash game, I want assurances. I want to know who's going to get the volume and who's going to get the touches. Tournaments, I'm more willing to take on risk because of the risk reward associated with having to finish near the top in the top 10 of a tournament to really make a whole lot of money. CJ smells like bad chalk. Why? I mean, he wasn't last week. Are you just saying because he did so well last week and people are going to flock to him? The price has come up. The ownership has come up. We know it early. Has CJ ever had 2 straight games? Has CJ ever been in the Rams offense for 2 straight games? Something you got to think about. I mean, all that stuff is narrative stuff. That's why I'm saying it kind of in passing, right? He is on a team that needs to win, that feeds 20-plus carries, including pass game work, to their main running back. They ran it 20 times with CJ last week. They also, they ran it 11 more times with Kelly, right? No, 10 times for Kelly with 1 reception on 1 target. CJ, 3 targets, 1 reception, 20 carries. They want to run the ball with this offense, and they are going to give him the ball 20 times, I think, especially if they're playing from ahead. They are playing at home. I don't think that he's going to have as many points as he had last week. I'm not going to go out and predict 26 fantasy points for CJ Anderson, but for 5K, you're looking for like 15. If he gets you 15 for 5K, you're all right. We know that he can get you to 26 with only 1 touchdown. We know that can happen. So I don't hate it. I don't think it's as much of a lock as it was last week at, what was he, 3,600? Gurley out crushes Reynolds. Yeah, because they play a lot more 2 tight end. Exactly. Liner's strength is run D, but that doesn't mean Goff isn't throwing it 50 times. They're also at home, and they could be playing with a lead. You also have to factor in if the Niners are going to throw the ball a lot more. That means more plays for both teams. Running teams, you see less plays. Passing teams, you see more plays. If they are going to go the narrative route and you think they're going to throw it a ton to Kittle, then you have to think the Rams are going to see more plays than they typically will see. Everett may be in play. Don't hate it if you expect them to play more 2 tight end. If you had to choose between Kittle and Kelsey, who would you choose? I prefer Kelsey. I think he has an easier path to touchdowns. I think he sees similar volume, also has that 100-yard upside and 10-catch upside. Any strong takes on Eagles wide receivers? I have not been able to figure out the Eagles all year other than just play Ertz. You know, like that's been my general take with the Eagles is play Ertz. The running backs are too tough. They've got 6 of them. Has Foles been priced out this week? No. Have you thought about your my contest entry this week? For example, last week you didn't play cash. I mean, I'm going to play head-to-heads this week. I think that there's going to be enough action out there. I was concerned there was going to be enough action. Like, I haven't been selling head-to-heads, and that's why I haven't been playing as many head-to-heads. But I think they're going to sell this week, so I'm going to post a bunch today after I get off the air. If Cobb is back, who will run opposite of Adams, MVS or Kumaro? Both. Neither one's going to play 100% of the snaps. If Cobb's in the slot, Adams will play a ton, like 80, 90% on the other side. MVS and Kumaro will probably play about between 30 and 60% between the two of them. Jeffrey flop lag this week? Could be. That's what I'm saying. I can't predict where the ball's going to go in Philly. So I think that all of them are at risk. Like last week, we had the thing coming in last week. Oh, look, when Foles is at quarterback, he throws the ball this much to Jeffrey and really doesn't throw the ball as much to Ertz. And everybody just flocked to Jeffrey. And then Ertz had a ridiculous slate-breaking day. And people say, what happened to the thing that Foles throws the ball to him? We spend so much time talking about small sample size. And now that we're in week 17 where teams have 15 games of sample, we still think that is a small sample size. We were going off of, and a lot of people were going off of Foles playing 5 games at the end of last year and 1 more game. So going with 1/3 the sample. Just kind of what it is. The Jets have signed Quincy Enunwa to a multi-year extension. Congratulations for Quincy Enunwa. 2,600 to 2,900 defenses. Ravens, anytime you can pick on a rookie quarterback, as much as I like Baker Mayfield, rookie quarterback on the road with a great defense, I think that that's fine. At 2,900. Bears defense against Minnesota, it's all right. I like it. I don't love it. I do like the Bills defense at home. I think that this is a good spot. Philly here, Falcons against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has had turnover problems. Don't hate that one. Chiefs against Oakland, definitely like them at 2,600 and at home. You know, you look at the Chiefs defense at home versus the Chiefs defense on the road. It's always been that way. Arrowhead's a very tough place to play. 10.1 fantasy points per game at home, 4.6 on the road. They're at home and only 2,600 against the Raiders, who kind of suck. So, do I prefer Sanu or Ridley? I mean, I don't prefer either. I guess I would want Ridley for upside there. Sanu for floor. What do I think of Jeff Wilson? I think he's going to get a ton of volume if Breed is gone. Just like we've seen the last few weeks. Jordy, Godwin, McGuire, or Damian Williams for GPP. I think Godwin 1, then McGuire, then Jordy. Damian Williams is really going to depend on what we think happens with Ware and him and everybody else being healthy. The Chiefs have the highest touchdown upside, but how many snaps is he going to play and how much volume is he going to get? Raider Nation, 4 months in a row. Thank you very much for the 4 months, man. 2 months away from getting that gold VIP badge in the chat. Someone asked what my off-season stream schedule looks like off NFL season. I still want to stream about 5 times a week. I'm stream 6 times a week during NFL season. I still want to stream about 5 times a week. I haven't decided what those streams are always going to be. We might do some strategy stuff, might do an NBA stream here and there, do a couple MLB prep streams. I'm probably not going to do day-by-day, slate-by-slate breakdowns. We can talk about stuff as it comes, any stream that I'm live, but most of them are probably going to be just hanging out, video game type streams. Is Edelman too expensive at $7,600? No, I think Edelman's all right. I think Woods is all right. If you're playing in the mid-range, I think Adams is going to be the highest owned wide receiver. I think Antonio Brown, if healthy and if he plays, is a great way to pay up to be contrarian. I think Tyreek Hill for a GPP is fine. If Antonio Brown is out, then I think Juju Smith-Schuster becomes a great play. DeAndre Hopkins is DeAndre Hopkins. How's it going, General Dentist? By considering any Seahawks players this week, Lockett needs 101 yards to reach a 1,000-yard season. Is that like a thing? Are teams really pushing the ball to those guys for 1,000 yards? Unless, and this is something that we're going to really need like Schefter and Silva and guys like that to really dig into to let us know if some of these guys have contract incentives. If Lockett has an incentive to get 100 or to get 1,000 yards in his contract, I could see Russ Wilson trying to get him the ball. If it's big enough, I could also see the team saying, nah. So we kind of have to figure out what the story is going to be there. Basically, the message right now is don't lock anything until Sunday AM. Exactly. I mean, more so than any other week. Breaking news, DeAndre Hopkins good at all of the football. That is true. Any concern with Adams not being able to practice this week? Not really. I don't worry about veterans not practicing. I really never have. You know? And, like, I kind of feel like we'll know about Adams before that game. Like, we'll know if he's active or inactive before that game. It's not a late game. So we'll get that news early as opposed to, like, thankfully we got the Gurley news now as opposed to last week when we got it in the middle of the 1 p.m. games because they don't have to announce inactives until 90 minutes before their kickoff. And the afternoon games all kick off at 4:25 Eastern this week. So, and there's a lot of them. This is the biggest afternoon slate. Imagine if every week in the NFL was like this. How great it would be if half the slate kicked off early and half the slate kicked off late, so it wasn't like 2 or 3 afternoon games. What if there were, on even the short weeks with buys, if there were 6 morning games, for me, I'm on the West Coast, and 6 afternoon games, 6 1 p.m.s, 6 4 p.m.s for you East Coasters in that fake time zone that y'all use? That would be a much better game. We'd actually have early and late slates that were playable. We'd actually have full game slates that were playable. There'd be things to swap to. There would be a lot of different things going on. There would be constant action throughout the day as opposed to, well, 9 of the 12 games are in the morning, 2 are in the afternoon, and 1 Sunday night. Big Country is 100% correct. Have all your if-then statements in place and then be ready to tinker. How's it going, Jim? Can I rank Godwin, Robert Foster, Zay Jones, and Hamilton? Okay, I prefer Godwin to Foster. I think Zay Jones is last out of that group. I think Hamilton has the best floor-ceiling combo, so I'd probably put him first out of that group. I think Hamilton scores between 13 and 25 points most weeks in this offense. I think Godwin and Foster score between 5 and 25. So they all have the same ceiling. I think Zay Jones has a super low floor and a similar-ish ceiling, maybe 20-point ceiling. So I'd probably prefer Hamilton to that group. This may come as a surprise. You are fading the Bears this weekend. That is only because you're not going to the game, Dentist. Every game that General Dennis goes to the game, Trubisky has 4 touchdowns. You love the 4:30 games. So yeah, like I like the fact that there's constant action throughout the day. Then I'd have to change it to the Tinkercast or the Late Swap Cast. No, it would still be the same thing for me. There's a lot of good branding that goes into that. What other questions you guys have for me? I think we've hit on pretty much everything, to be honest with you. McKenzie, MVS, Bourne, or Gallup? I think that's the right order, to be honest with you. What coaches are gone Monday? I have no idea. There will be about 5, just like every year, right? Carson is popping in your models. Haven't heard his name yet here today. The reason is we don't know what Seattle's going to do, and I don't trust their coach to tell us the truth. So Carson's seen a ton of volume. That's why he's popping in a lot of models, and it's the greatest matchup, one of the best matchups you can get for opposing running backs. So if he sees 20 to 30 touches this week again, then yeah, he's going to smash. There's no two ways about that. If he gets the volume, then he will most certainly crush. What if they don't play him that much, knowing that they have to go on the road the next week to play in a playoff game? What if he only sees 12 to 15 touches? He's going to have to be ridiculously efficient. What if Mike Davis sees 10 to 15 touches? And what if Rashad Penny sees 10 to 15 touches? Because they're locked in. They got nothing to play for. Just kind of a thing. That's why. People, I wanted to play him on Monday, and I was like, oh, they really don't have anything to play for, and I don't know what's going to happen. We talked about James Conner / Samuels. Like, there's a lot of question marks. Historically, Pittsburgh uses one running back. They just kind of ride that guy, but this is a unique week based on the fact that they have the playoffs to worry about. Conner coming off of an injury. Are they going to run him out there for 30 touches on a week where they got to come back the next week? It's very possible that they just play and split 60-40 this 1 week at running back, especially if the game gets out of hand. If they're up 30-10, why would they keep feeding Conner coming off of an injury? Can you play naked Mahomes? You can. But you know that the majority of his targets are going to like 2 guys. So I don't know that you need to. Someone at the office just walked right through the glass wall in front of me. Oh, God. Like, broke it? Just walked into it. Blam. You're going to be at the Falcons-Bucks game? Nice. That's going to be a fun game to stack, too. 2 defense that really can't stop me. Just busted right through it. Lovely. Good to hear. Jesus. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it, to be honest with you. I think we've done all the damage that we can do for Week 17. We are going to have the Anti-Tinkercast, as always, on the Twitch machine. Come join us over there if you haven't. The link's down below in the description. Every Sunday morning, this is going to be the final one, right before lock, the last 45 minutes before kickoff. I am live on Twitch, taking questions all the way up until lock. Hopefully, I can help you out with any of your questions. Then we will know everything that we need to know. We'll have all the actives, all the inactives. We should know more about potential volume, the narratives, everything else that we need to go over. So, thank you guys for being here. Click like on this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll see you soon. Bye.